right, welcome to the That's Good Sports Podcast. I'm Brandon Perna, joined by the one and only William Keys the first, right?
You said it was the 9th last time, but I guess you're going to disregard my 8 generations that came before me.
You corrected me. We established that those 8 previous generations, maybe with exception to your father, were evil Keys.
That's correct.
Just
it's
European drug lords. I'm assuming Irish or something. Hey!
Yeah, no, you got it.
Fucking
special
cats.
Appearance by the cat.
Cat's fucking with shit behind me. Anyway, this is a podcast where we're going to talk about what happened NFL Football Sunday for the first half here, and then we'll get into the Broncos' loss to the Baltimore Ravens. Make sure you give us a 5-star rating on iTunes, and we're on iTunes, Podbean, and this airs on my second channel, That's Good Podcasts, recently rebranded to fit what we're posting here.
Changed it.
And we've got 4 podcasts every week. Keys and I do one every Monday here and every Thursday. And then I've got Blitz Radio going up on Tuesday. They just get drunk and talk football. Very entertaining. And then Jake Shapiro, credentialed Rockies coverage dude, is doing a Rockies podcast on Saturdays, and we're going to see how that goes. So we're stepping up the podcast empire.
Oh, yeah. I was going to use the same exact word, empire. That's the only way to describe it.
I think in the last 3 months, this podcast channel has earned me right around $100. So expect to see that coming your way soon, Will.
Cash flow.
So the NFL this weekend, pretty crazy. Like, if we want to, we'll get into our picks on Thursday, but there were some major upsets this weekend. You had the Bills destroy the Vikings.
They sure did.
The Patriots lose. And Jacksonville loses to Tennessee 9-6, although we should have seen that one coming, because the one team that gives Jacksonville problems are the Titans, and I think it was 1 out of the last 6 meetings Jags have won. And Blaine Gabbert goes down with an injury. An injured Marcus Mariota comes in and plays well enough basically to just get a victory over Jacksonville. So some big teams kind of collapsed this weekend. The Saints-Falcons game was awesome. Talk about just a fucking score fest. And Drew Brees leading a game-winning touchdown drive in overtime. Was a 43-37 was the final score there. So hopefully you took the over. I'm wearing a baseball hat now because Will Keys usually does, and I decided to pick up the slack and do it myself today.
Well, yeah, no, thank God I'm not wearing a hat. We just look ridiculous. Yeah. 2 hatted podcasters.
No, it's like, get out of your
Can't have that
bedroom, nerd boys.
Yeah.
So
big stuff happened yesterday. Got some news items as well, aside from the games. So we've got one of the big stories that came out of the morning games yesterday was at the end of that 49ers-Chiefs game, JImmy Garoppolo was scrambling down the left sideline, and he was trying to make a cut, and it looked like he kind of cut awkwardly on his left leg, and now the 49ers are worried that he tore his ACL, and he's going to be presumably gone for the season.
Yeah.
So pretty tough break for a team that just spent like $30 million on their quarterback.
I know. And, I guess it looks like to me, and I haven't heard or seen any news, but I'm guessing he tore multiple things in his knee. The way that knee buckled when he planted, it looked like he tore his ACL and maybe MCL or LCL is my prediction, because it did not look good. The question is, why the fuck didn't he just run out of bounds? Like, he was going to pick up an extra 2 or 3 yards in a game where you're down by, 10 points at least, or 2 touchdowns?
Yeah, it was like 2 touchdowns at that point.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. Like, as a quarterback, you got to be smart. I'm just worried that the competition committee is going to find a way to penalize the sidelines or the field or somehow Clay Matthews is going to pay for this Jimmy Garoppolo injury.
Yeah, I think he'll be receiving an invoice in the mail sometime this week.
If Clay Matthews is not fined for this Jimmy Garoppolo injury, then the NFL has failed at player safety at levels we can't even fathom, Will.
So 2 points off of this. Do you think the 49ers have any hope this season with CJ Beathard, first of all?
No, I don't.
Okay. I think he's a pretty good backup. I think he's one of the better backups in the league. I liked him coming out of Iowa. But, yeah, it's going to be tough to come back from 1-2 with the Rams in that division.
Yeah.
They still have to play the Rams twice. It's just going to be tough to make the playoffs in a pretty crowded NFC. Second of all, are you ready for all of the Colin Kaepernick back to the 49ers speculation?
Oh, bring it on, baby. Bring it on. The one thing I think the NFL needs is more Colin Kaepernick talk.
It's what everybody's been asking for.
Right. No, it really is. I guess the positive there is CJ Beathard did get, he started last season. We've seen backups succeed before.
We have.
But, this was Garoppolo's team. There was so much hype around him. And it might come out today that he didn't tear anything, but based on the way that looked, he's done for the season. Man, and it's just I just don't think there's a good enough team around Beathard to it's not like the Eagles where you've got this crazy talented defense and enough weapons on offense to get you through games. You don't have 3 tight ends that are you can legitimately target, and 3 running backs that can be explosive, and a decent set of wide receivers. So I think it's going to be a bad season for the 49ers, but maybe in the long run, if they're shitty this season, another high draft pick, then they're stacked for the future.
That's what I was going to say. So if there's any 49ers fans trying to talk them off of the bridge here or off of the ledge, so to speak, I think we're a little early. Not us, but most people were a little early to anoint the 49ers after the end of last season. Ended up going 6-10. People expected them to make the playoffs.
I fucking anointed the fuck out of them. So.
Yeah. I think they were still a few players away. They're not quite there on defense. They have a really good defensive line, but they need more help. They're going to probably end up with a pretty solid draft pick this year. Maybe shore up the back of the defense. The guy like Greedy Williams from LSU, someone like that. And you're ready to go in 2019 with a healthy Garoppolo, hopefully, sticking around this time.
He's got a full year to recover, basically. So he's going to be way ahead of Carson Wentz. And Wentz played this weekend as well. So
he sure did. He came back.
Carson. That was kind of an underwhelming game, but it's good to see Wentz back out on the field. I think the Colts are a decent team. That's basically kind of what we're learning. How much weight do you put into the fact that for their Hail Mary, they bring in Jacoby Brissett to throw the 50-plus yard bomb at the end of the game?
I don't know. I was watching it on Red Zone, and Scott Hansen. I always want to call him Chris Hansen, the guy from To Catch a Predator.
Oh, and then what's the guy from The Bachelor?
Oh, I don't know. You watched The Bachelor, not me.
Is that Chris Hansen too?
I don't think it's the same Chris Hansen.
I think it might be. God,
just tells each of the bachelors just to come right over here. Take a seat right over here.
Let's see.
I think I'm on the wrong show, Chris.
Oh no, you're right. What is the Bachelor dude's name?
I have less than zero idea.
Okay, well, you don't have a wife who watches every freaking episode.
It's true. You got me there. You have me.
Bachelor cast characters. I'm gonna find this for us. This is
this is important.
Important. One day you might be on The Bachelor, and you're gonna know who this man is, and you're going to thank me Chris Harrison. Okay. Okay. I was close. Hanson, Harrison, Chris. All right. What were we saying? What the fuck were we talking about?
The Eagles. So, yeah, disregarding that, I don't know. I don't think it's a big deal. Like, he's still coming back from that shoulder injury. He could barely grip a ball like a few weeks ago, and now he's playing quarterback pretty well. I mean, the Broncos did the same thing in 2012 with Brock Osweiler and Peyton Manning. If they were going to throw a Hail Mary, they had to bring in Osweiler.
Yeah, no, that's right. I mean,
I don't think it's a big deal, really. He just needs time.
When I was 8th grade quarterback and we had to throw it deep, they brought in the tall guy with the big arm and moved me out to wide receiver to be the guy to catch it. So
yeah, and then didn't bring you back in for the rest of the game.
No. I went back to quarterback. I started all year, Will. They wanted a guy who could run the read option, and I fucking hated it. I'm like, I got to figure out what the defensive end is doing. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing back here, so I'll just run it every play. And then by the end of the season, I figured out how to do it well. And all that really meant was pitching the ball to the running back before I got blasted by the fucking outside linebacker or defensive end. I was like, this is not a fun job. Either I get the running lane or I get smashed and get rid of the ball just before they get to me to open it up for the running back. I said, this is not something I want to continue to do.
You're a team player, though, you know?
Yeah, but whatever. Anyway, I could play in the NFL is basically what I'm saying based on my 8th grade year at quarterback, obviously.
Still waiting for that call. Anyway, yeah, Colts get the loss, but they, like you said, I think they're a pretty strong 1-2 team that's lost 2 close games on the road to start the year.
Yeah, who was their first loss to?
I take it back. They lost the first game at home.
At home to the Bengals. But the Bengals, I think Bengals are a good team. Eagles are a good team. Colts, by the end of the season, I think are going to have it figured out. And if they just stay competitive, they might have a chance to – Well, I guess it's Jacksonville and Tennessee in that division and the Texans. Nobody worried about the Texans. They could sneak in as a wild card, the Colts. And I think they're a better team than the Titans right now. After 3 weeks, if I had to put one team in the playoffs and expect them to do better, I would pick the Colts, even though the Titans have 2 sneaky wins.
Yeah, I'm not sold on the Titans yet, and that's mostly because of their quarterback situation. I'm not a huge Mariota guy, but I don't know, man. Mike Vrabel won 2 games with Blaine Gabbert as his starter, so he might be the early front-runner coach of the year.
Ross Tucker said, coach of the year with 2 Blaine Gabbert wins. I thought was pretty funny.
Ross Tucker sounds like I was listening to him doing color commentary on Saturday because he was doing the Nevada-Toledo game, which of course I was watching on the Saturday morning.
Yeah, of course.
And I went to Nevada, so it makes a little bit of sense.
Okay, that does make sense.
They got blown out by Toledo. But Ross Tucker sounds a lot like Patrick Warburton. Don't you think?
Yes.
From Joe from Family Guy.
Oh, yes. /
the face painter from Seinfeld.
Yes. That's Putty. You should have just said Putty.
Yeah.
No, he does. I forget. I think it was one of his in-game commentaries where it sounded like that, because I've heard him fill in for Dan Patrick quite a few times.
Yeah.
And I didn't really get that from him, but I think when he goes into his game calling voice, he sounds a lot like Putty.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you got to make it deep for the broadcast.
Right. No, that's a good observation. And he's actually, Ross Tucker's he's subtly funny, which I respect.
Yeah. He's pretty good. He's got a good podcast. Don't listen to it though. Listen to ours.
Yeah. Tell Ross Tucker to come on our podcast.
Yeah. Open invite. Come to discuss your resemblance to Patrick Warburton / Putty.
Thank you.
Okay. So other news items. The Patriots have lost back-to-back games by double digits for the first time in 16 years.
Oh, shit.
So since 2002,
that is a stat.
When they missed the playoffs.
Wow.
What do you think about that, Brandon? I know you like it. I love
it. No, I love it. Anytime you see a Patriots loss, it is tremendous. And think about it. If you go back to the Super Bowl, they have lost 3 of their last 4 games.
It's true. It's true.
Their record.
They haven't looked good in a while. They haven't looked good since that Tennessee game, really.
I think anybody who's watched football for a while does not take any stock in this.
No.
Every year,
I don't know.
You can always pray for the Patriots to crumble, and I just feel like by December they are going to look like a good team. If they are not great, it is for a couple reasons, and one of the biggest ones I think they're going to get solutions to this season, and it's that their receivers look like garbage. But Julian Edelman comes back in 2 weeks. They have Josh Gordon in the wings waiting. The Patriots are a better team with Julian Edelman on the field, no question about it. He opens up things for Gronkowski. He's like Brady's safety blanket. But in the game against Detroit, that's maybe one of the most inaccurate performances I've seen from Tom Brady in a while. So let's hope that maybe he's lost his magic touch. His arm's getting a little shitty. Alex Guerrero's feeding him with some snake oil bullshit. And maybe finally he's not quite as – he's still going to be good, but maybe just a little less accurate. If you take away Brady's accuracy, he is nothing.
He really is. Like, he doesn't throw the ball down the field. He's not particularly quick. His receivers aren't really getting open right now. Obviously, we'll wait for Julian Edelman to get back, and that'll probably change. But I don't know. They don't look like a very good team. I'm not going to say that they're missing the playoffs or anything, and everybody thinks, oh, well, they're still going to go 13-3, 12-4. I want to, go somewhere in between. I think they're like a 10-6 team probably.
No, that's fair. And they have I think a good challenge this weekend against the Dolphins. So the Dolphins are 3-0. They're playing that kind of just gritty football. Albert Wilson, right? He's with the Dolphins now from Kansas City. He had a big touchdown where he looked faster than I ever remembered seeing him in Kansas City.
I think he had a touchdown pass too.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Did he throw that?
He threw one and caught one.
Imagine if he was playing with Patrick Mahomes right now. You know what I mean? So, I think this weekend will be fun. Like a Dolphins-Patriots game that is going to be hopefully a competition. And in that game, however, the Dolphins lost their defensive end, William Hayes, I think?
William Hayes, yeah.
William Hayes tore his ACL, and Adam Gase said he tore his ACL trying to avoid putting his body weight on Derek Carr for a sack. So I admire Adam Gase just fucking laying down the hammer on the NFL, taking a jab at him. I watched the clip of it, and I'm going to make a video about the roughing the passer rule for like the third straight fucking week. But I can kind of see what he's talking about. It looks like he would have just torn his knee, however. But I think maybe the argument there is he plants his leg and he's trying to go to the side, and that causes that knee to puts torque on your ACL. And it'll be interesting to see if the NFL is going to actually do something about this, because I haven't heard a single person say this is the right rule.
No, I don't think so either. I don't think the quarterbacks are really that much safer either. No. I don't think it makes that much of a difference.
It's Aaron Rodgers sprained his knee. Jimmy Garoppolo tears his knee. It's just going to happen. And it's like,
just guys get hurt. That's how it is. If you really want to make things safer, I don't know, have them practice a little bit, give them more practice sessions in the off season and get them up to shape a little bit quicker.
Work on their technique. I don't know. And it's something that's going to happen. It's unavoidable. It's football. And it's hard to fight the evolution of injuries are part of the game. They're part of the quarterback position as well. You can protect them in certain ways, but last season, one of the best storylines was Nick Foles winning the Super Bowl and Super Bowl MVP, which doesn't happen without a quarterback getting hurt. Tom Brady, where is he at if Drew Bledsoe doesn't get hurt? And yes, the examples of star quarterbacks getting hurt usually not going to be good for your team. But part of that is new guys do emerge, different things do happen. And when you, I think, try to eliminate a specific injury with a big rule change like this, it is not favorable to the NFL. And they have to recognize this at some point, like the catch rule, where fans don't like it, players don't like it, coaches don't like it, former officials are saying it doesn't make sense, and former players and coaches are critical of it. So and any member of the media covering the game, the announcers, while it happens, are like, this doesn't make any sense. The only people saying still that it makes sense is the NFL front office. And it's because they hate to admit that they make mistakes. And they, if they do change it, they're going to do it quietly, where they basically just tell the refs, let's ease up on this. And they'll pretend like they never made a mistake. And because they put in that rule, everything is fine now, which is, they can take the fucking credit. Just, it needs to stop. Like 3 weeks in a row with this Clay Matthews shit on tackles that look very, it's about trying to eliminate the pile driving, where you could argue a player may be trying to injure a quarterback on the hit. And none of those Clay Matthews hits look like that. And it's, I just hope it happens 4 weeks in a row so we have something to talk about again.
Yeah, no, it happened to Clay Matthews when he sacked Alex Smith. He went crazy. Mike McCarthy looked like he was going to murder the referee on the sideline.
Yeah, he looked like he could have a heart attack right there.
Yeah. His face was, speaking of red skin, his face was bright red on the sideline. He was like chasing down the official.
Yeah.
He was about to hurt him, I think. Someone had to hold him back.
Yeah, he was a little more reserved in his post-game press conference, but I don't know, like how you just
got to him probably.
I don't know how you continue to ignore it.
Xanax.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Went to the team trainer and was like, "What do we have to help me not get a fine in this press conference?" The NFL allows you to do that. You can pop as fucking pills as you want in the. It's safe. It's FDA approved.
Correct.
Correct. What else happened this weekend?
So in one of the morning games, Buffalo beat Minnesota 27. What was it? 27-6 or 27-3.
Dude, I was because the Broncos game was early, and I wanted to just watch what was happening in Buffalo and Minnesota so bad. I was just shocked when I saw the Bills were up 14-0 and then 21-0, and I saw Josh Allen hurdle a guy. Josh Allen may be the next quarterback to get hurt pretty bad, but and it's not like he played crazy good football, but played
clean.
That's
all it took.
Mostly mistake-free football, and
the Bills didn't. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I don't know what happened in that game to Minnesota. I haven't even watched the highlights or gone back into it.
Yeah.
Did you see any of it to know?
I did. Yeah, because I was watching the Broncos game at a bar, and we had the Broncos game right in front of me, and then on a big screen right to my left was Buffalo, Minnesota. Okay. And what happened basically is the Bills just got off to a fast start. I don't really know how to explain that. They were playing without LaShawn McCoy too, but they got some big passing plays. Hit like a 50-yard pass to Chris Ivory. Josh Allen was just clean. Like he had a couple running touchdowns. Threw one, I think. He didn't make mistakes. They were moving the ball. And on defense, Jerry Hughes was wrecking the Vikings offensive line. He and Trent Murphy forced a fumble on Kirk Cousins early. The Vikings just could never get any momentum offensively. They just jumped out to such a quick lead that the Vikings were never able to recover. But it was shocking.
So, and this is probably going to be an issue for the Vikings and the whole season, because their biggest weakness is their offensive line.
Yeah,
it wasn't great last year, and injuries have made that worse. And if you can't protect your quarterback, especially when he's not Aaron Rodgers, you're going to run into some issues. So I'll try to look at that game to see, but that makes sense. Like, kind of just like a whirlwind of good things for Buffalo, and they had the right people to take advantage of a bad Vikings front on offense.
I also think a lot of people – Jim Nantz was saying during the game. Also, I have no idea why Jim Nantz and Tony Romo were doing that game because, like, on paper, it was the worst game of the week. And
they got punished for some reason.
I don't know. There's also a weird part in the game where, like, they threw it to the studio for a quick highlight, and it was Phil Simms doing the studio highlight. And he's like, all right, back to you, Jim and Tony, the guy who took his job.
Oh, that's funny.
You really have to make Phil Simms do this. That's
God.
Insult to injury. But, yeah, anyway, Jerry Hughes was really incredible in that game. Josh Allen, terrific. Buffalo might not be as bad as they looked, but at the same time, it could have been a trap game for the Vikings, who are obviously coming off of a very emotional game, an emotional roller coaster against the Packers. And they also have the Rams on Thursday night, Vikings-Rams.
Oh, so shit. That'll be awesome.
Got stuck in between some big games, and I think
that is awesome.
Just a letdown for them.
The Bills, week 3, man, dangerous team.
Yeah.
Dating back to last year with the Broncos.
Yeah, they found a way to figure it out. Anyway, last bit of news really quick. The Steelers are listening to trade offers for Le'Veon Bell, according to Adam Schefter.
Interesting.
What do you think? Do you think there's any teams that'll bite?
Broncos trade Royce Freeman for Le'Veon Bell. Bow, bow, bow.
I love Royce. I'd probably take that trade, though.
Yeah, I know shit you would. Yeah, I don't know who would take him and immediately benefit. I mean, obviously Le'Veon Bell is good, but you want him to go into a situation where he has a decent offensive line because that's a big part of, I think, his success in Pittsburgh is they have a very good offensive line, as evident by James Conner's success. They play tonight against Fitzmagic Monday Night Football, so that'll be fun to watch.
Speaking of which, a team that could use a running back, those Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Beat the Steelers and then take their running back. Trade him Jameis Winston.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about Ben Roethlisberger and Jameis Winston in the same locker room.
Yeah, too many sexual assaults in one place. Probably not good.
Not great for locker room culture.
Maybe the Titans could use Le'Veon Bell.
I was thinking, so a couple teams that make sense to me. First of all, it's not going to work because they just paid Aaron Rodgers $1 billion.
Oh, shit. That would be fun.
Would be a really good fit. Also, the Colts, I think, would be a really good fit. Their offensive line's a lot better. Quentin Nelson's really doing a good job at left guard for them. And I think a good running back could kind of put them over the hump.
Andrew Luck would be great with Le'Veon Bell.
I think so too. I don't know what their cap situation's like. I can't imagine that they're paying that many guys aside from Luck. So
yeah, interesting. I also maybe Seattle.
Yeah, I mean they just spent a first rounder on Penny, who's not
right. But, Carson's still their number one dude. Their offensive line isn't good, but I think they could get Le'Veon Bell involved in the passing game where he's very good. Russell Wilson would take advantage of him, but in a good way.
Not the Jameis Winston, Ben Roethlisberger way.
Ben Roethlisberger way.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of any other teams, and I don't know.
We'll keep our eye on it. It's hearsay.
Yeah.
Although
I'm gonna stick with the Colts and
Packers. Bad information very often, so
yeah,
I'm sure there's something to it. But now I guess we'll break down this Denver Broncos game before we get out of here.
Right. Yeah, a lot of stuff to talk about. Not a great game on our side.
Not a great game at all.
There's a lot of stuff that we need to address. So they lost 27-13.
14.
Was it 14? Yeah, my bad. 27-14. It was a 13-point
loss. Bro.
It's true. I was watching with the sound off, which actually I've heard the announcers were not great to listen to. So
they were like the lowest level announcers you could get. I never fucking heard of them.
Yeah, so maybe I was lucky. But it made things very confusing when
Oh, I bet.
Phillip Lindsay got ejected. I had no idea what was going on until like they're leading him into the tunnel. I was like, oh, he just got thrown out.
The Phillip Lindsay ejection had to be confusing, as did the field goal block that took the refs about 10 minutes to figure out what the call was. Okay, so I think the pulse from Broncos country here is fire. The whole place is on fire. Everything is burning to the ground. And
I don't think it's that bad.
I think they're half right, though. I think it is possible that could happen because we've seen it happen last year. And I have some major concerns about the team. But also the Broncos, despite playing terrible football on basically every level, offense was bad, defense was bad. They made dumb mistakes, bad penalties. They were still in that game. Even when they were down in the fourth quarter, they're driving with 7 minutes. They're in the red zone. If they score a touchdown there, it's a one-score game. They're technically in it. So you say everything went bad for them, and they still could have won that game. But then you say everything went bad for them, and a lot of it was their own damn fault. So I don't know what to make of it. I think something that is not going to help them is playing the Chiefs on Monday Night Football because
it is at home, though. It is at home.
It's at home. Patrick Mahomes, 13 touchdowns now, just adding to that record. And when you
am I supposed to be impressed?
When you 2 weeks ago said Peyton Manning better look over his shoulder for the touchdown record, you were making a joke. But now that shit might be real. And if it is, I'm gonna say you called it first, and I'm gonna say it's because you love Patrick Mahomes more than any other quarterback to ever play the game.
Yeah, and I will sue you for slander. That's simply false.
What is your biggest concern for the Broncos, and what is a reason people should be hopeful about the team?
I'll start off with why they should be hopeful. I think Case Keenum's going to get better. The offensive line, he's just holding the ball too much. I think a lot of it had to do with conditions. I think a quarterback that can throw the ball far, kind of like Joe Flacco, that's got a big arm and big hands, plays better in the rain than a guy like Case Keenum, who's more of a timing guy. So I think that's going to get better because they're not going to play in the rain in Baltimore every week. As far as concern, I don't see how it couldn't be the secondary. They just got torched all day. Still couldn't cover a tight end. Mark Andrews just ripped them in the middle of the field.
He only had 2 catches, but he averaged 29.5 yards per catch.
Not great. Whenever you make Joe Flacco look like fucking Peyton Manning, that's an issue. Isaac Yiadom came in after Tremaine Brock pulled his groin or whatever.
Again, that groin's been a problem all preseason, and now I think it's a bigger issue.
Right. And they went to Yiadom right away, gave up that big catch against John Brown down the sideline. So basically all of our fears from the preseason were confirmed. Mm-hmm. Chris Harris kind of called out the schemes, the problem with schemes, and Joe Woods maybe not doing a great job with that secondary. Although I will say Bradley Chubb looked good early on, so there's a positive.
For one series, he looked great, just like the whole defense.
Compliment sandwich there.
Yeah, I mean, you lose – I mean, Adam Jones doesn't play. Tremaine Brock leaves, so you're left with, Chris Harris, Bradley Roby, and Isaac Yiadom coming in. Roby has not been close to what I think we expected him to be. Harris,
he's a guy that plays better with Aqib Talib.
I think there are players that just they're better suited to be a third corner, a nickel corner, and I think that was just the perfect role for Bradley Roby because you have Chris Harris, you had Chris Harris next to him in that they could basically kind of switch roles, right? Chris Harris was the slot corner, but he could cover outside if he needed to, if they wanted to change those things up. And you always had Talib as your lockdown guy on opposing team's number one receiver. So the Talib trade looking worse, as is letting Wade Phillips go. It's like you had the formula there for a good defense.
Yeah.
And I think the Broncos would be better with Wade Phillips still there. But, yeah, the secondary is a concern. I don't want to blame Isaac Yiadom too much for it because, again, he's drafted mid-draft and not expected to be the guy coming in to do that. You think this guy's going to take a year or two to get where you want him to be as a corner. But I really have to question the Tremaine Brock move when there were other free agent corners available. And now you start to look at like the draft this year, and it's obviously early. You know, Bradley Chubb may end up being, 10-year starter for the Broncos, but Denzel Ward going right before him, and Denzel Ward is looking legit right now for the Browns. Like, if the Browns took Chubb and the Broncos didn't take Denzel Ward next, that would look like a mistake because that would have been immediate impact from one of the best players available at a position of need. And the Browns kind of got criticized for taking him, but it looks like a smart move now. So you're right. It is secondary. I thought Jake Butt would be more involved in the passing game because we kind of saw a progression through 2 weeks. Keenum, you're right, holding on to the ball too long, but that's what he did in Minnesota too. Like he had one of the longest release times last year, but maybe, you got Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen both just finding ways to get open. And right now you just kind of have Emmanuel Sanders. They need, I think, a second target to emerge as being on the same page with Keenum all the time to maybe help him out there.
Mm-hmm. It just looked like his balls were just dying at the end.
Yeah, he looked inaccurate too. A lot of them were kind of going into the dirt before they got to the receiver.
Yeah, like they're kind of like fizzing out, like right when they're supposed to be like hitting like button hooks and crossing routes and everything. And they're just like dying and hitting the dirt.
Yeah.
Like
no, you're right. So, I mean, it'll be interesting. I just think, I don't know. Like, I don't trust the coaching staff to uplift this team at this point and fix it. That's what scares me. I think there's enough talent on the team for them to be a pretty good football team, but it's got to come together. And the secondary is a liability. The Broncos' strength on defense couldn't get enough pressure, like consistent pressure on Flacco. So, there's a lot to think about there. And then the penalty is like the blocked kick was weird because I guess technically Justin Simmons should have been flagged for leaping there.
I don't think so because I think it's only a penalty if you touch, like if you leap and you like clip the offensive lineman.
If you touch him, but then they were saying like in the game that you can't get more than a yard running start before you jump. And they're like, it looks like he had 1.5 yards or 2 yards or something. So I don't understand that rule still. But then so Domata Peko pushes 77 and he
pushes
flops.
A strong word, yeah.
He flops. The dude flops right in front of the ref. And they're not anywhere near the play. So I don't understand.
No, they're behind Chris Harris.
By like 20 yards. So a fat
77 was not chasing down Chris Harris.
No. So I don't understand why the ref would even call that. Like,
he was a fucking idiot. The crew was very, very bad all game. Also, I don't like to be the guy that blames the officials.
No, but they were horrible.
But this was a bad game for them. And the whole NFL has been they've had an officiating crisis all year. It's just more of the same. It's a lot of it because there's a lot of turnover in the officiating crews this year. Ron Torbert's not a new guy, but his crew called a bad game. And there's also a play in the third quarter, I think, where someone was down like at the 4-yard line. Oh, it was the tight end, Boyle. His knee was at the 4-yard line. They gave him credit, or they gave him progress to like the half-yard line. Ravens score a play later on 3rd and goal.
And the Broncos were not allowed to challenge it.
Right, yeah. No, Vance Joseph called the timeout, pulled the flag, threw the red flag, and they said, oh, actually, you can't challenge this for whatever reason.
For whatever dumb reason, the ball should have been like on the 3.5-yard line.
Yep.
I made what I thought was a decent joke about Nick Boyle being in the NFL for 4 years and not scoring. and I just called that high school.
Oh, yeah.
And college. But like that's why I remember that play so vividly. But you're right. There was that. The Ravens pick 6 got negated for Case Keenum getting pushed in the back a little bit.
Yeah, well, everybody knows Case Keenum was ready to chase him down and make that tackle too.
Pretty ticky-tacky call there. Like the Broncos got screwed more. Phillip Lindsay's ejection, rewatching that, seeing it every angle seems like bullshit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Go ahead.
I don't know if he went in there and threw one good punch, but it looked like a guy was reaching in to try to get to where Lindsay was, and he was punching away his hand. So it's just like a scrum of people trying to fight for the football. I don't know how that gets called as.
Also, yeah, he threw the flag long before anybody started throwing punches.
Yeah. He threw that flag, and then he went to try and throw it again, but it wasn't there when Lindsay was, like, flailing his arm. So
yeah,
I don't know what the fuck they saw. Nobody was going to get hurt or got hurt. And you eject – like, if they just wanted to call it a 15-yard penalty. Yeah, that's fine, okay? I get how it can be a little crazy and confusing. But to eject him for that? The Broncos' best running back? Like – talk about a blow to the team on a rainy day when you probably need that more than any other game. Like, I don't know. Yeah. It was just it's why, like, them loosening the ejection rule, I think is bad for the game. And then the Ravens' first touchdown was set up by Isaac Yiadom pushing a Ravens player on the sideline. Right. So,
which was also a little ticky-tacky.
It was ticky-tacky, but also just stupid by Yiadom. Yeah. Like, he wasn't on the field. He was on the sideline. The guy came flying in, and Yiadom, like, had to jump, and then he just shoved the dude a little bit. You don't call that. The guy wasn't even close. Like, the guy didn't even notice, basically, that he got pushed. Like, he just went and kept running and was like, Yeah.
If you, like, push the guy to the ground, sure. But he just, like, kind of, like, shoved him a little, like, back into the field of play.
It is – like, that's the kind of penalty you call in high school to try to keep the game in check and say, hey, you guys are kids. Quit acting like fucking idiots. But I don't know, man. Those penalties – and that was a good return, and then it put the Ravens in great field position and set them up for an easy touchdown. Like, those calls affected the game. And, again, I don't think the Broncos played good enough to win, but – they, outside of fucking themselves, they got a little from the refs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I tweeted this yesterday during the game, but it just feels like the refs this year, I don't know, maybe I'm noticing it more this year, but it feels like they have like a bit of an ego with all of these, like they have to like discipline everybody for everything.
Yeah.
And they feel like they're the fucking hall monitors keeping this game in check. And it's really affecting the game, and it's impacting not only the Broncos game, but like we said, like the Packers Redskins game.
Oh yeah.
The Packers game the week before. And it's just like the two things you don't like to see impact the game more than anything else are kickers and officiating. And so far, the last 2 weeks have not been good for the NFL.
No, it's been a lot of that. And it's like taunting is a dumb penalty. The roughing the passer thing is crazy. The ability to eject players for personal foul seems just a little ridiculous. Yeah. And I don't know. You're right. It's a little out of hand. It has affected games, and it just makes you angry when you're watching it. And the only thing that should make you angry is the team you're rooting for, not the refs. And the coaching your team or a player making a mistake. You don't want – and it was a lot. It wasn't just one call. You can expect a bad call or two in a game because – they're humans out there. Things are happening fast. But when we can see it at home and they have people watching the games, I don't know why they can't signal down to the refs like, no, you shouldn't eject that guy for that. Like, they should be able to say, hey, we need to call up to the booth. Look like this happened. Did that happen? Yes. Like, I think you can do that quickly, but it shouldn't change the outcome of games.
Yeah. Another call, just really quick while we're talking about the officiating. Deshaun Hamilton on that punt return before halftime just got speared with the crown of the other guy's helmet, and there was no flag to be seen or heard of.
No, yeah. Hamilton got blasted right in the fucking face with a helmet, and they didn't call it. The announcers talked about it, like, should that have been called? And I think they brought in –
yeah, should have.
And, like, I was going to talk about it last night, but my episode was kind of too long. I was like, I'll just save it for another time. But that's the thing. It's like you're trying to protect players, but then when somebody legitimately almost gets hurt for a crown of the helmet hitting them in the face, which was illegal last year and the year before, it wasn't. That's not part of the new rules. That's one you should already know how to call. It's like, and Hamilton's not like he lowered his head. He's kind of down face up, and the defender just comes in. Anybody who
another play that probably would have saved the Broncos 3 points too, because they gave up a field goal before halftime.
Right.
Part of that again was their undoing, but it felt like everything was going against them. But yeah, so there's a lot of sentiment that the sky is falling. I don't think it's that bad. It's one game. They lost on the road to a Ravens team that's pretty good.
Yeah, I think the Ravens still could be the best team in the AFC North. It's and I think what's disappointing is the Ravens did not have Michael Pierce. They did not have CJ Mosley, and they did not have Jimmy Smith. So arguably their best player at each level of the defense, and we saw the Broncos offense underperform. That's what's disappointing. The thing that will fix that instantly is a win against Kansas City. If the but the way that Broncos secondary is playing, it is a bad time to go up against the hottest offense in the NFL.
The hottest gimmick offense in the NFL.
Yes, whatever.
Always very good in the month of September.
Technically, it'll be October 1st when they play, Will.
Will it?
Yep.
Oh.
So maybe
I like the sound of that.
Dies.
I like the sound of that. Maybe the weather cools down a little bit. Patrick Mahomes' velocity drops a little bit on those passes. He's a huge fraud. That sounds like Ray Romano. A lot of things could be going against the Chiefs. Home crowd gets excited. I'm not ready to predict a win, but here we are.
So we'll leave it with the Broncos look bad. Hopefully it's not as bad as we all think it is, but it could be, but it might not be.
We don't know. The big test I'm thinking about is Vance Joseph going to be able to right the ship this season after not being able to right the ship and losing like 9 games in a row last year?
Yeah, I think the thing that's scary is if you're Vance Joseph, like when you think – just in general as a person, when you think you've like fixed an issue or a problem and then you see it start to repeat itself, psychologically you freak out and you're like, oh shit, this is going to happen again. And it could snowball into a disaster, right? So last season you get these 2 wins and then week 3 just kind of play a bad game where you beat yourselves. And last year, the Broncos bounced back and got the win week 4, but then New York Giants came to town who are winless and just, I think, crushed the Broncos' spirit. But the Broncos have the Chiefs, then the Jets, then the Rams, right?
Oh, I thought it was the Chiefs, then the Rams. Maybe
it's even scarier
I
if it's the Chiefs and the Jets. Because the Broncos beat the Chiefs, and then they got the Jets who don't look good, and they lose that game, and then get the Rams. Then we will really be freaking out with a repeat of last season.
Yeah. I think if that happens, though, and they just, like, snowball, and there's just they just go off a cliff, I think Elway will fire Vance Joseph midseason if that happens again.
Probably.
Yeah. People were calling for him to be fired yesterday, and Case Keenum to be benched, and Joe Woods to be fired. and Garrett Bowles to be executed and everything. And that's just what happens on Twitter. But I think
Garrett Bowles should play defense.
Chill.
I think Garrett Bowles should be a defensive end.
I think he'd be pretty good.
Because when
a two-way player.
When he holds, he fucking tackles very well.
Oh, yeah.
And, like,
I mean, if you're going to hold, you might as well, like, make sure they don't touch the quarterback.
Exactly. And it wasn't all on Garrett Bowles either. You know what I mean? So,
Case was holding the ball.
Can the Broncos – it's like they need a piece for the secondary. I don't think they can get that this year. I don't think they can make a trade for a star corner.
Vontae Davis.
Bring Vontae Davis out of retirement.
Yeah. I don't know. The Bills look better without him, though. So
if the Broncos do get horrible, the silver lining is you do have Chad Kelly to just throw out there at some point and say, well, what do we have with this guy?
Yeah.
But I don't want to see that happen at all.
No. No, absolutely not.
But anyway, I think that covers it, huh?
I think so. I think we talked about everything we needed to talk about.
We'll take a deeper dive in the Chiefs-Broncos matchup on Thursday and some of the other NFL games. Thank you for listening to the podcast. That is just a really okay podcast about football. Yeah,
go buy a Beating Goff t-shirt.
I tried to get that on because Channel 7 News has been posting like 2.5-minute segments that I give them on Sunday nights.
Yeah.
And I got an email from them this week that told me to push it more. Like, are you dialing it back? Like, we want you to be, crazier and more you. So the last 20 seconds were how Phillip Rivers should be beating Goff and how I'm not sure any NFL quarterback can, will be beating Goff this season. And they fucking cut it.
God damn it.
Cut it.
The FCC
so ready.
is keeping us down.
And it's not a violation. It's beating Goff. It's their quarterback. Also, beating Goff shirts now available at the That's Good Sports store.
Yeah, go buy a shirt.
Support the show. This may go down as your greatest creation of all time.
Yeah, what I thought was a throwaway joke is sweeping the nation.
Yeah.
Almost.
That was the big dick player. So throwaway beating Goff. Will made that up for the weekly picks episode. I knew it was going to be funny. People are gravitating to beating Goff, as in beating Jared Goff, and
people love beating Goff, especially guys who watch the show.
We all love beating Goff, and we're gonna keep it alive every week.
It's gonna be great when the Rams actually lose.
Yeah, somebody finally beat Goff.
Yeah, they're beating Goff as we speak.
They're beating Goff
on the field
to completion. So. That'll conclude the That's Good Sports podcast. Subscribe or whatever you want to fucking do. We don't give a shit.
Yeah.
All right, bye.